Welcome to Sun and Fun 51, More Fun in 51. I'm Ben Coleman, one of your hosts for the Florida Aviation Network, coming to you live and in the clear from the Central Florida Aerospace Academy. And this is Air Show Week here for the Expo, and we are so honored and proud to have our guest here with us today and all the way through the week. But this is the lead show. This is the lead off, the first. We have with us, and we're going to spot to a different camera here, with Joe McGrath. Joe.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Larry Kelley.
It is always fun.
I remember Larry Kelley. I know that man for a while back. But folks, we have the opportunity here. Larry, by the way, is the owner, operator, pilot, mechanic, bottle washer, window scratcher for Panchito.
Floor sweeper.
B-25. Yeah. He sweeps up floors. He
mop
pops
up the
rivets.
oil. Yeah.
Does oil change, cylinder change. He knows everything. He's been in the bowels of that airplane for how many years, Larry?
28 years now.
Wow.
Ooh.
Gosh. You
got about 2,700 hours time and type.
And someday, I'm gonna.
Well, you've got some time in that airplane too.
I do,
Yeah.
but not nearly enough.
3 of the best landings that airplane ever saw were your first 3. Yeah.
We won't talk about your arrival yesterday. I did a hard landing inspection on Panchito.
Okay now. Oh. Well, that's because the controller wanted me to turn in tight.
No, it was a fine job. You got to be flexible to a point. But Joe, and we're going to bat this about just for a little while here. And I'm sorry I missed my tally light. Larry's going to have to head off here in a few minutes to pick up another show, and we're going to talk with Joe here, Joe McGrath. And Joe, tell us about just a glimpse before we get into the bowels of our discussion here. I noticed a distinct accent.
Well, I'm Irish, born and bred in Ireland, but I moved to the UK when I was 11, so I've got an English accent. But when I go back home and visit family, it takes about 3 days, then I kick back into the full-on Irish accent. Okay. But I do air shows all around the world. I'm what's called an international air show accommodator, mainly through the UK and Middle East.
Excellent. And I know with Larry, I know Larry well enough that if you're running in Larry's circle in his company, you're a professional. And I say that because we need to get more professionals into this business. And one way to do it is through example. And Larry and his operation up in Delaware is the epitome of how to do it right. And Larry, tell us just a little bit about some of your flight training opportunities coming up.
One thing that is rare in limited category airplanes, to be able to do flight instructing in those, you have to get a special exemption from the FAA because in limited category airplanes, you can't take passenger to cargo for hire without an exemption from those rules. And we've achieved one of those exemptions to be able to do flight training in the airplane. And several of the folks on my crew came from the airline world and came from developing flight training programs within the airline industry. So we developed a very professional program designed around specifically the B-25. So we do flight training into B-25 from earning just a simple second command rating, which you can do in a weekend, or to a full type rating, which takes 8 days. We've done both, and we do recurrent training, the 6158 check type ratings you do. Mm-hmm. Well, for one of Joe's old clients, the Red Bull team, those guys come over. They're coming over later in this month, about 2 weeks, for their recurrent training. And we've picked up quite an audience of Europeans, and Joe has been representing us over in Europe. So we're booked out now about a year, so there's a lot of people that want, some people because they had family members that may have flown the B-25, others just because they want to expand their experience, and some who are going to be flying B-25s for other operators. They come to us, get their initial training, and then they'll go fly the airplane for another museum or another owner.
Larry and Joe, we talked a little bit earlier. Larry, you got your start about age 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, about that.
And Joe, he got his start a little bit late in life. I used to think 21 was old.
Wow.
But anyway, but you're coming a long way, Joe. I
Yes,
got my
sir.
start when I was 6 in one of these little yellow airplanes here with
Yep.
my dad. So I just don't know any better. But there's a lot of folks, our volunteers, some of our camera people here, they don't know much about aviation yet, but they're learning it. And this is one of the forums that we use to get them attracted. Warbirds. What are we going to do with the warbirds? Because every time we lose one, they're not making them anymore. And we have our pilots. How do we encourage our pilots? Larry, you mentioned something a little bit earlier. Can you expand on the 20 under 40?
Well, the National Warbird Operators Conference, which is an organization strictly warbird owners and operators and maintainers, and it's really grown quite large. They have a program called 20 under 40 that's administered by Peter DeLisa, who's one of our pilots, and Kara McGurk and a couple of others within our organization and outside the organization. And it's to recognize those that are under the age of 40, 20 youngsters under the age of 40 each year, and I can say that youngsters because I'm 77, that have been active in warbirds, helping keeping warbirds flying, either maintaining them, flying them, whatever it may be, but young people who are involved in maintaining and keeping warbirds flying, it's a way of recognizing them. And it can be nominated through the National Warbird Operators Conference website. You can nominate someone, and then they're recognized publicly at the Big Warbird Picnic on Sunday at Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm. And again, the working on round motors is not like working on flat motors, but we want folks that want to get involved with working. And Joe even has background. He got kind of cut his
That's how I
teeth
started
in
as a flight man
mechanics.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I think it's important that you understand the aircraft as you move forward and you want to go flying in it. I like to know, why is this working? What's going on?
Well,
and you guys are blessed here with this setup that you've got. I've traveled the world, like I said, doing air shows, and I have never seen anything like this. And the opportunities that these youngsters have, I hope they recognize it for what it is, because it is unique and they need to grab it with both hands.
Well, it's sound bites just like this, Joe, is what we hope to get out, because and a lot of people don't realize this. Chuck Yeager. You realize Chuck was a mechanic before he was a pilot? Mm. And one of the reasons they picked him out when I was talking to him at the Centennial is they needed a pilot, and they wanted to get somebody that knew the structures well.
They wanted an engineer too.
Exactly. So that's why it's so important.
Same reason Hap Arnold went to Jimmy Doolittle to plan the Doolittle raid. Jimmy Doolittle had earned a first PhD in aeronautics from MIT. He had built airplanes, raced airplanes, and had a PhD in aeronautics. So who better to plan such a raid?
Larry, you just hit, I want to get to develop this a lot more, but you just hit the nail on the head. The Doolittle Raiders. Kind of explain to our forum here. We're talking to about 150,000 people right now. Mm-hmm. And we will be getting out to a lot more later on. But give us kind of a thumbnail about the Raiders and the new society, the association that has sprung out of that.
You know, after the raid, of course, the Raiders were national heroes because for the first 4 months of the war, it was just bad news all over, and then suddenly the headlines were American bombers bombed Tokyo, so they were national heroes. But the Raiders formed an association called the Doolittle Tokyo Raiders Association Incorporated. It was all just Raider members. And that was their organization, and all the money they raised from their annual reunions and autograph sales, whatever, all goes to the James H. Doolittle Scholarship Fund. And your kids here at Aerospace Center for Excellence are eligible to apply for that. We have scholarships every year. And as Dick, who's you can see there in the right seat with me, as Dick was the last Doolittle Tokyo Raider. Before he died, he appointed Tom Casey, who had been their business manager for 30 plus years, moved him to the president of the association, moved me to business manager, and made me an honorary Raider so we could keep on the legacy of the Doolittle Tokyo Raiders through the association. Since there were no more Raiders to staff the association, now it's us.
And how would we, of course, nowadays, any search engine you go onto, you can pull up Doolittle Raiders, and I'm sure that there's a plethora of information. I love to use that term.
Well
plethora
done.
Of information.
You impressed me.
Exactly.
But we, and again, I want to spring back to getting folks. If I'm interested in being an aviator and I want to get my hands on one of these warbirds, how do I do it, Larry? I mean, I don't have people that were involved with the military. I don't know anybody.
Let me tell you a quick story.
What do we do?
We had a young man come into our hangar one day. Actually, he approached me at the restaurant there at the airport, and he said, "I'd like to get involved and help you guys." I said, "Well, come on down. We're just finishing lunch." And so he came in, and he said, "Well, what can I do?" I said, "Well, take a look around. What do you see?" He says, "Well, you got a lot of stuff in the floor." I said, "We'll sweep the floor." And he's flying with us now. He now has his pilot certificate, has his A&P, and is flying with us. You know, so find an organization that's operating warbirds. Tell them you want to help. Don't walk in and say, "I want to fly your airplanes," or "I want to go with you to air shows and be seen." I want to be seen. I want to wear the shirt. You know, don't do that.
No.
What can I do to help?
Larry,
They'll find ways to
Larry
help.
knows a good friend of mine, John Romaine, and we have a saying for that in the UK. They're called a hangar rat. And John Romaine is the warbird guy in the UK now. He flies Spitfires, Mustangs, he restores them. He has an amazing company based out of Duxford, and he started sweeping the hangars at Duxford.
Joe, you mentioned, we talked earlier, I hate to be one to take an advantage of an opportunity, but I'm going to take advantage of this. We have so much opportunity here in this country, and you just hit it. You said you don't always have all that going on in the UK.
Well, you said I started late. I started late because I lived in a little village in the middle of Ireland, and my closest interaction with aviation was lying in the grass and looking at contrails going over. So when I came to the UK, I could see the opportunities, and I took them straight away.
I use a term called fence hangers.
Yeah.
And I love to see folks, you know, hanging on the fence, looking out. They've got their kids. We have the opportunity to go into, ma'am, sir, parents, whoever. Would you like to come inside?
Yeah.
Oh, can we? Well,
yeah.
Sure. I'll escort you. And we have the opportunity. Us gray hair. Well, I used to have hair. But when I had hair, it was darker, and Larry and I mentioned this earlier about the dark hairs around. There's a lot of gray hair walking around this airport. And
But look at the three of us.
Well, again, but we have the opportunity to pay it forward a little bit. That's a term that's been used a lot.
And Larry is the actual epitome of that.
Yeah.
You get up to Delaware and you don't go visit him, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Or anytime you get near the airplane, don't touch the airplane.
Nope.
Without getting permission. If you want to go touch something, you go ask Larry, and he'll escort you over there and show you how to touch it. We're not to touch it, but there's things, there's certain etiquette. There's proper etiquette for props, propeller etiquette. Never stand in line with a running engine with a propeller. I don't call me old-fashioned, but what would happen if one of those blades was to let go and you just happened to be in the right spot?
Boy, the tip broke off of it.
Oh, that's never happened, Larry.
Over at the Navy, you know, I do work in Naval Test Pilot School, and we have a propeller there in a display case that's missing 6 inches off the end of it, where someone had clipped it just a couple of inches to put it on a home built, but that affected the resonance within the prop.
Yeah.
And not too many hours into flying this airplane, the tip came off, and the balance was so bad it tore the engine loose.
Oh, yeah.
Tore the engine
Yeah.
out of the frame.
Just wrenched it right out.
Yeah, but fortunately he was close to the ground, got it on the ground, but when the engine was about to depart the airframe, so he made a control landing and wasn't hurt. The airplane was destroyed, but that propeller tip, where did it go?
Wherever it wanted to.
He went to somewhere at about 2,500 RPM.
Larry, in your last 30 seconds that you have here with us before you go, Mr. Dunbar has been screaming in my ear, "Where's Larry? Where's Larry Kelley?" You got now 25 seconds. Leave us with a parting thought.
Find warbird operators, and whatever your talent may be, and it doesn't have to be anything special. Go help them out. That one day, that young man came in there and was sweeping the floor. I said, look over there at that fellow that's emptying the trash in the bathroom. He used to be president of Lockheed Martin. Okay, so you don't have to be somebody highfalutin. Just go in and start helping.
Larry, what is the most precious thing that we have?
Our young people right now.
Time.
Okay. Oh,
Time. See you.
thank you.
Thanks, Larry. We'll talk to you next interview. Joe, you have quite a dynamic background, and you do the commentating and the announcing, actually for the Red Bull folks.
Yeah, I was honored to be asked to be the world commentator for the Red Bull Air Race World Series. So they foolishly paid me to go to Brazil, to Coco Beach, Copacabana Beach, and talk about airplanes.
They didn't know that you'd have done it for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've done it just for
Well,
goodness.
they've got the money, trust me. I mean, we were spending about $6.4 million per race, and we're doing 10, 12 races a year at the peak. But it was an amazing experience. I learned so much from the guys about flying. We won an Emmy for outdoor sports broadcasting because we did a lot of production, big high production values. I thought I knew about commentary, but then I did the air race and I thought, okay, there's another level to this that you can take it to.
Well, Joe, you mentioned that there's a lot of money involved in this. It cost them a lot to produce those.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that it comes back because it
Oh.
has such an impact.
Absolutely. The Red Bull Air Race concept, it was started by Peter Begenet and Paul Bonner. Peter Begenet from Hungary and Paul Bonner from the UK. And I happened to be doing an air show in Kemble in the UK, and they had just two, what we call gates now. And they said, oh, we've got this guy who's going to do, and I'm going, what's that? We've never seen it before. And they started very small, and they had their own commentator. But unfortunately, because it was Red Bull, the guy was a Dutch windsurfing champion, okay? A super nice guy, but his knowledge of aviation was very, very limited. And he basically was going, that's great, oh wow, look what they're doing, now they're turning. And to this day, I can always see the woman from Red Bull running along the crowd line, coming to the commentary position. Can you come and help him? So again, opportunity. I was in the right place at the right time. So I went and I advised him and I did the commentary with him, and then they said, all right, we need a professional commentator here. And it just grew and grew and grew, and then it took on a sort of life of its own. And we had even our own TV program at the end.
Wow, and again, TV and media, we can't underestimate how important it is.
Nope.
Because even watching these videos and these vignettes, what we do here during Sun and Fun, if there's just one takeaway that they take, it's something that you would have said, something maybe I said, definitely something that Larry said, is get involved.
Yeah.
And just go and ask. And the worst that can happen is somebody says, well, no, we can't. But then that gives you the opportunity to say, well, why not? Why can't we? Is there something I can do to make that possible?
Absolutely. It's I'm very privileged. I'm blessed to be in a position to try and steer people towards a career in aviation. I mean, I love it. It's my life. And not just the flying part, the engineering side. I love the technical side of it, and I love the safety. I've made some lifelong friendships that I'll go to my grave with, and aviation has given me so much. So the opportunity to give somebody that opportunity as well to talk about it and say, hey, go to this website or go see this person or come and visit us at the aircraft, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. It's amazing. And then I've met people, so I ran a flying school as well. I had a friend of mine that was ex-Army, didn't have the cash to go all the way through, but I steered him in the right direction. He's now a 777 captain at Emirates, and he named one of his kids after me, and he tried to make me the godson, but I said, I know what you're doing there. You're trying to get me involved in it. I said, no, they're your kids, you keep them.
Well, if they're good kids, send them to us.
Yeah,
I mean,
but that's where aviation has taken me. My whole life has been blessed with meeting pilots like yourself, people that I can share and I can learn from. And I love in aviation you never stop learning.
No, there's
There's
always
always
more.
more stuff to learn.
Joe, we have a new volunteer here, and she has she brought something up to me that we just kind of take for granted. When you're in the industry, and it's your career, it's kind of all you know. And you know, the thing is, it has its own language.
Yes.
There's acronyms. There's all sorts of things that are discussed that in our own lingo that I want to share with the folks, the young folks. Just like there's somebody that says they read FSDO.
Right.
Well, it's FSDO. Well, why do you know that? Well, everybody knows that. It's FSDO. Used to be
Right.
GATO.
Yeah.
And in the UK, I don't know what the expanse is, and we're soon to wrap this up here, Joe, because we're running out on a time cue.
Okay.
But I want to let you share with us just quickly in a couple seconds, if you don't mind, of the biggest thing that had an impact on you that you would like to share with Get an Impact from our young.
The opportunity at air shows to meet professionals like yourself, and this air show, it represents the cream of that. Seize it. Go out there, talk to the pilots, talk to the ground crew. They're here to talk to you and share their knowledge. And if you have any questions, or if you want to get a picture next to the plane, just ask them.
Get involved.
Get involved.
Joe, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you,
time.
sir. Thank you, Ben.
And coming all the way across the water to
No,
see
it's
us
a
here.
pleasure. I'm here all week.
I'd like to come see you over there sometime.
You're more than welcome. Come to the UK or come to Dubai. I'll show you how we do an air show in the Middle East.
You heard it. You heard it. Florida Aviation Network in Dubai. I'm Ben Coleman. I'm your host for this show, and we'll see you next interview here at Sun and Fun 51. More fun in 51. Thanks, Gene Conrad, for all your help, and all of the volunteers under you. See you.